Welcome to the October office hours for the Advertorial 101 course. We are going to dive in and answer a bunch of questions from the students that are going through the Advertorial course. People have submitted questions, and you guys also have the ability to submit copy for critique as well. So if you want me to critique your copy, go ahead and submit those ahead of time. I can take a look and we can dive right in and give you all the feedback that you need. So let's go ahead and dive right into these questions. All right, and if you guys have extra questions as we're going through this, go ahead and stick them in the Zoom Q&A, and that way I can see them because I'm going to close the chat so I don't get distracted here. Okay. All right, so let's dive into the first question. This one is from Giovanni, who says, does your advertorial headline, does it need a big idea like a sales letter? So that is a really good question. So does your advertorial need a big idea like you would have for one of those big behemoth sales letters to capture attention? And I would say, yes, your advertorial absolutely needs a hook or a big idea, less so than a sales letter, which you're going to try and get someone to read all the way through like 40 pages of copy. But you definitely need a really clear hook to bring people in and give them a reason for them to be there. So clarity is big here. I recommend picking one idea to focus on. So you don't want to try and put too many ideas in the headline or even the lead or even your whole advertorial. And also you just want people to read this and know exactly who the advertorial is for and why they should be there, why they should pay attention to it. So that's one of the biggest things, is you just want clarity above all. And also, if you're moving people to another part of your funnel with your advertorial, you want to focus on congruence. So you want the advertorial to be congruent with the rest of the funnel. So what that means is, it just means when someone clicks to your advertorial from an ad or an email or however you are getting them there, and also when they click from the advertorial to your sales page or an email, wherever they go next, you want that to feel the same, right? You don't want someone to click and then think, okay, how did I get here? How did I end up here? You want them to feel like it's a natural part of the funnel, and then you're not just sending them off somewhere where they have to wonder how they got there or what they're supposed to do next. So that's a really good question. Part of that question as well is, how do you develop a hook? Okay, so like we talked about, you still want a hook or a big idea for your advertorial, but it doesn't need to be as aggressive as a sales page, right? So this could be some sort of pattern interrupt where you get someone to stop and say, wait, what does that say? And then they get curious to learn more. That interrupts how they're thinking, so that they want to learn more about what you're writing and understand how it relates to them. So for example, a good example would be if you were in the health industry or weight loss industry, and your headline was breaking news. Doctors say you should stop eating fruit immediately. Here's why. That's kind of a pattern interrupt, right? Because the whole, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and we know fruit is healthy for us. And so if you said that doctors want you to stop eating fruit immediately, that's a big pattern interrupt. So things like that interrupt the way of thinking, drive curiosity, and are also relevant to the market. So like, for example, that one was in the health and weight loss industry. So your headline, your hook, your big idea, it could also be something that calls out exactly what's the conversation that's on your reader's mind, right? So you want it to address their pain points and their desires even more than a sales letter, because you want to focus on the reader in your advertorial, because you're not going to be asking for a sale here. You want to focus all on them. So whatever your hook is, you want them to know exactly who it's for, that it's exactly for them. And you want them to feel like, okay, I feel like this was written for me, right? So that's why focusing on that one idea and that one market in your headline is going to go a long way to helping you talk to these cold and skeptical audiences. All right, so let me bring up our Q&A too. And yep, exactly, if you guys stick your questions in the Q&A, I will see them, because I'm going to close the chat so I can just focus on the questions. So stick them in the Zoom Q&A down here. Okay, so we got another question about headlines. So how does a headline for your advertorial differ from a sales page? That's a good question. So as we've talked about in the course, your advertorial is a lot more subtle when it comes to the sales, right? So you want to avoid being too salesy, because if you remember from the course, we're talking to more unaware audiences with our advertorial. So if you remember, Eugene Schwartz is from Breakthrough Advertising, also in that book, Great Leads, which is amazing, by Masterson and Ford. We talk about this awareness level, right? Someone who is unaware is completely unaware of you, your business, your product. They may not even know that they have a problem at this point. And someone that is most aware on the whole other end of the scale, they know what their problem is. They've explored potential solutions. They may have even heard about you and your solution. They may have already explored pricing. They're basically ready to buy, and they just need someone to offer them a really good deal or a really good guarantee so they feel safe in their purchase. They just need a little push off the fence. So with advertorials, we're talking more to unaware audiences. With sales pages, you're talking to more aware audiences, because hopefully you've done a good job of warming them up and getting them more aware before they get to your sales page. That's why we use the advertorials. So your advertorial headlines, you want them to be less salesy. You want them to be much more about the reader, because these advertorials are speaking to those more unaware readers or skeptical readers in really competitive industries like weight loss and finance and stuff like that. So you don't want to blatantly announce that you're selling something. So you don't want to say something like, how the Instapot changed my life, right? You want to talk about like, oh, I tried this weird cooking machine and here's what happened. You want to create some intrigue and bring people into a story. That's why these stories work so well in advertorials. So you don't want to just announce your product, and you can do that towards the end depending on if you feel they're ready for it, but you don't want to try and shove people all the way up that awareness scale if they need more information, if they need to move further up into the next level of awareness before they're ready to buy. Because when you present your message about your product too early, that's when it sounds salesy or spammy or makes people want to click away because they're not ready for that yet. All right, so how do you form a hook in your advertorial that doesn't scream like a sales letter? So that's basically what we just talked about, right? The exception to that is if you guys, in the course, there's a great interview that I did with Branko Mijatovic, who is a copywriter for Legacy Research, which is one of the Agora companies. And we talked all about the entire funnel of using advertorials in the financial industry and how the Agora companies, Legacy in particular, uses advertorials. So that was an awesome interview. Definitely check that out if you haven't seen it. And Branko walks us through the funnels of how they use advertorials at Legacy. And one of the biggest difference with how they do it is Legacy sells to people who are on their email list. So usually they collect people's names and emails on the front end of the funnel. And if you haven't seen lesson 4 of my course, then that's where we talk about the front end versus the back end of the funnel. You'll learn all about it. On the front end of the funnel, companies like Legacy and Agora, they collect names and emails. So that's the entire goal of the front end of the funnel. They don't often sell things. It's just mostly to get those names into their funnel. And then once they're on their list, people are already more aware, right? So now they're aware of Legacy, the company. They're aware of some of the products that they have and the gurus that they have selling those products. And so they can be a little bit more direct with their sales messaging. So the way that Legacy uses advertorials is almost like a published lift note. And so a lift note is an email that they send out to get people to come to the sales page. It's like a little mini sales letter in itself that gets people to take action and come to the sales page or the advertorial. The term lift note comes from like way back when you actually mail out physical letters, and you would have a little note on the top of the page and you would have to lift it up to read the sales letter. And so it would be something interesting that would make people want to read the sales letter. So in the digital age, we use lift notes to get people to click through to the sales page or the advertorial or the next part of your funnel. So a lot of times in those situations, people are coming to your advertorial and they already know about you. They may have even bought some product. And so you can be a little bit more direct in those that messaging. So in that particular situation, you might mention your product name or the company name or things like that, and be a little bit less subtle with your sales messaging. But for the most part, most businesses use advertorials for cold readers or skeptical audiences, people that are less aware. And so we do want to dial back that sales messaging and just focus completely on the reader. All right. Let me check our Q&A here. All right, let me grab Claudia's question here. So Claudia is asking for assignment number 2. And Claudia, just remind me what assignment number 2 was. I think that one was about finding your hook, I think. So she said for assignment number 2, most of the benefits, features, objections, and misconceptions for my product, which is pet supplements. But she just feels like she's saying the same thing over and over. So I need to say each hook or angle in a different way for every question in the assignment, or am I doing it wrong? Claudia, do you want to come on? You don't have to. You can do audio only if you want to, but if you want to come on, I would be glad to brainstorm some of this through with you if you would like. Sure. Okay, let me see if I can upgrade you here. Okay. Cool. Let's bring Claudia on. Awesome. Claudia is works with me in Accelerator inside Copy Chief too. And so this is exciting because I've seen her work from start to finish from when she first looked on. And Giancarlo says, can I come on? Just audio, please. Absolutely. Yeah. So we will get to you next. And Giancarlo, I know you submitted some questions about hooks and things. So we just answered those. So if you want to watch the replay, but I know you also had some questions about the structure of an advertorial. So we can talk about that too. So Claudia, it looks like you have to turn on your audio.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, it says you cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Oh, let me let you have video. Zoom changes the rules every week. All right, try now. See if you can turn it on.
There
you go. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Awesome. All right. So your question was, you feel like you're saying the pain points over and over again. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it seems like I was gonna do something called Apoquel, and it's like a drug for an itchy dog for like itchy skin and stuff like that. But it's more of a prescription drug, not a supplement.
Gotcha.
And I thought I would stay with the supplements. I just wanted to stay with the supplements because I think there's just a wider variety and more to do, instead of just one product. But, so depending on if you do like a joint supplement or like a digestive supplement or anything like that, I just feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over again and just try. And I mean, so if we do like 2 or 3 hooks for each product, I feel like every time I say do the hooks, I'm like just saying the same thing over and over again, no matter what.
So do you mean you're saying, do you want to pull up some examples?
Yeah, I wish I would have printed out my,
no worries.
Yeah.
Or I guess do you mean like when you're forming your headlines or when you're talking about the product when you're forming your headlines?
The headlines are, the 2 hooks that I put was like, I was going to tell a story. So if I'm doing like problem aware, I was going to do a story about a family who helped, who were able to help their dog have a more comfortable life because he had skin. And then the other one was like, the military vet's, service dog. He was so happy to be able to find this product because, it helped his dog be more comfortable. But it's like, even when I'm doing the headlines, I feel like I'm saying the same thing each time for each story.
So I would focus really heavily on the story. So probably where you're getting stuck is you're trying to sell the thing a little bit too hard because you're trying to sell the product, right? Where if you focus on the story, let the sales page do the heavy lifting on selling the product. So of course you can talk about the benefits and what happens, but try and weave that into the story. So the journey of how the dog rid their itchy skin or the feelings that the Army vets got after watching their faithful servants get better and better, right? So that's what you want to focus on. And then you just want to say, to learn more about this, you can go here. you can let that sales page do the heavy lifting on the benefits of the product. And that way you're not trying to regurgitate the sales message all the time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Because I'm just like, I'm like racking my brain trying to figure out how to say this differently, but it's basically this. So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah. It's as copywriters, we're the worst at writing advertorials because we want to sell, right? And we have to remember that it's content disguised as copy, and we just slip in a little copy in there to get people to take action.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, really good question. And I know that obviously you're an accelerator, so if you want to break that stuff down in there, absolutely post the links to your articles and we can go through more in there too.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Rachel.
All right, now I have to figure out how to make you not a participant anymore. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna kick you off, and you can stay here. Change roles for Cindy. There we go. All right, cool. So Giancarlo, and you can come on and tell me how to pronounce your name correctly. Giancarlo. I'm gonna go ahead and bring you on as a panelist here, and then if you want to ask your question. All right. Come on in. And I know you don't have your video, but just unmute yourself when you get a chance.
Okay.
Hey there.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Yes, I am new to Editorials. Kind of have an idea on a formula structure. I guess you start with a pain, then agitate it, then you give a solution. But when you give a solution, you mean the what to do, right? The what to do?
Yep.
Okay. And then you transition to the sales page or the sales letter, which will be the next page, a separate page, which will be selling on the sale. This will be the same sales marketing argument from the advertorial.
They don't have to be the same, but you want them to be congruent. So you want them to feel like they're from the same thread, right? So you don't have to have the exact same sales argument. And with advertorials, you can even have a little bit less of a sales argument, focus on just getting people to the sales page and wanting to hear what that sales page says. So if you're just getting started with the course and everything, in lesson 3, we go through the structure step by step, and there's some good examples in there of how to do it. But just like a sales letter, you will have that headline and that lead. So that's the part that gets people hooked and lets them know that it's for them. And then you transition into, I use quotes, the sales argument, because it's selling them on the concept, right? Or like selling them that this is a good solution for them, but it may not necessarily be specifically about your product. That may be the next step after the advertorial.
Okay, and last question. I missed this, your answer. I asked you, it was about the headline, right?
Right.
Especially the headline and the lead. Let's say the headline, how to make it so it doesn't look or sound like a sales letter.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good question. And I'll go into it now, but if you want to watch back as well, then we went into it pretty deep. So how to not make it look like a sales letter. So what we talked about earlier is that when you're writing for advertorials, you're writing for someone who's less aware. So they may not be aware of you and your product. They may not even be aware that they have a problem. And so before you start writing, you need to figure out what is their awareness level. So you'll learn about this a lot in the course. But if someone is completely unaware, they might even not know if they have a problem. And then the next step up is problem aware. And they may know that they have a problem, but they've never heard of a potential solution. They may not even know that a solution is out there. If they're solution aware, they may know that there's solutions, but they may not know about particular products. And so once you get them to that, or once you figure out what awareness level you're talking to, then you can decide how salesy to be. So for example, if someone doesn't know that they have a problem, then listing these product names is not going to even click with them because they don't know even that it's a potential thing for them, right? But if someone knows that they have a problem and now they want to start exploring solutions, then you can start talking about potential solutions. So for example, let someone say someone has itchy skin. If they know that they have itchy skin, but they've tried some lotions and stuff, you could say, I've had itchy skin and nothing's worked until I tried this special lotion from the moon or whatever it is, right? But if someone doesn't even know, hasn't even tried lotion before, you could write something a little bit more subtle, like the top 5 fixes for itchy skin straight from dermatologists or something.
Okay.
Get it?
So you have to be more subtle. It's not like the same structure as a headline, like how to lose weight or blah, 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 or if you have pain on your back, or it's the same formulas. I can go to the swipe files, let's say headline swipe files and use it.
Yep,
Or
absolutely.
they have to be more subtle because the headlines from the advertorials look more like a newspaper or
right.
like a blog post. Is different, you know.
Yeah, and you can use the same formula. So like how to do X, Y, and Z, or the secret way to do this and that. Like you can absolutely use those same formulas. You just want to, instead of talking about your product, you want to make sure it focuses completely on them. Where on the sales page, you'd probably focus on your product a little bit more because someone's on your sales page to buy it, right?
Okay, last question
Sure.
about the lead. You know, I took some copywriting classes, right? And when they say you have to start with a headline, then the subhead, and then the lead, which is about just like baiting the hook, like,
right.
oh, you're about to, or in the next page, you're going to discover X, Y, Z, so stay tuned because I'm about to reveal with you, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's like a 3-4 paragraphs lead before you start with the content. So you have to do the same in Advertorial?
Yes, and so the lead is just like the sales letter or the sales page. The lead is the most important part. So the biggest thing is you want to deliver what you promised in the headline, or at least get them to understand that you're going to deliver it. So if you promise them how to lose weight, then in the lead, you want to make sure that they know that they're going to get that promise delivered.
Oh, I see now.
Or it might be a story. So the lead
Right.
should focus on making sure that they know that they're in the right place and that you've got
Right.
something valuable and interesting for them.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good to
Take
have
care.
you here. And yeah,
Thank
as you guys are, here, let me see. I forgot to de-promote you, but back to attendee. As you guys are going through the course, if you guys have questions, Giancarlo submitted them on this form. If you guys have any trouble finding the form to submit your copy or your questions, just email support@rachelmazza.com and my assistant Laura will hook you up with that. But if you guys want to go through your advertorials on these calls, we can absolutely do that. Just submit them to me ahead of time so I can read them so that we're not like reading on the call. But absolutely use that same form to send me your advertorials and we can break them down here. All right, let me open our Q&A one more time. Awesome, so we got Claudia's. Cool. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left, so try and fit them all in. Okay. So yeah, where should you publish your advertorial? Should you publish it on your own website or somewhere else? That is a good question from Josh. So we talk about this in lesson 4. So if you're looking for more information about where to publish your advertorial, definitely watch lesson 4 because that's going to give you a lot of information. But the summary here is you can absolutely publish your advertorial to your own website. Totally fine, really easy and fast, doesn't cost anything, right? But you just want to make sure that the advertorial style or the hook that you're publishing makes sense that it would be on your website. So for example, if you are selling pet supplements, right? So like, let's say like Claudia is selling a supplement to fix your dog's itchy skin. You probably on your website selling that supplement, you probably wouldn't have a blog post that says, here's the top 5 best supplements for fixing your dog's itchy skin. Because someone would look at that and maybe yours is like Pet Fix. Maybe that's the name of it. They're like, why is Pet Fix talking about all these competitors? That doesn't make any sense, right? So you wouldn't have that kind of thing naturally on your site or your client's site. And so if you're going to publish something to your own website, just make sure it's appropriate and what you would naturally find there. So a more natural hook would be maybe about the founder of the company and how he discovered this. So maybe the discovery story. So how one man got tired of watching his dog suffer and discovered this all natural formula to fixing itchy skin. Things like that. That would be very natural to find on the Pet Fix website, right? So if you want to publish things that are comparisons or that you feel aren't appropriate for your website, what you would find there, then you want to publish on a third-party site. And you can do that in lots of different ways. We go through lots of them on lesson 4. You can do it by guest blogging. You can do it by submitting to a content network like Taboola or Outbrain, where you actually pay to place your advertorial on sites like CNN and Daily Mail and Wired and BuzzFeed and all that stuff. So that is where you would want to publish on an external site. And also when you publish to a third-party site, especially one with some credibility and authority, like Wall Street Journal or CNN, you're borrowing that authority as well. So that's really powerful. So if you have the choice, it's always better to publish on a third-party site, unless you want complete control or you don't have the money to budget, or you just want quick and easy. Then you can host on your site. But whenever you can, leverage that third-party authority, because that's only going to give you more credibility. It's going to increase your audience. So absolutely, absolutely, you can do either or. You just have to pick what's best for you and your product. All right. Okay, so we're going to end there. I think that's all the questions. Let me just make sure we don't have any in our Zoom Q&A. I think we got through all our questions. All right, great. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the course and going through all the lessons. If you have any more questions, then just submit them to this form. If you can't find the form to submit your copy or your questions, just email support@rachelmazza.com and I will send it over. Claudia and Giancarlo, thanks so much for coming on and chatting with me. And we will do this the same time next month, but if you guys get stuck, don't hesitate to email me, all right? All right, guys, thank you. See you inside.